Hi, my name is Saturn. Welcome to the Sharpest Teeth. We're back. Okay, I'm sorry for the lighting and the video quality, as always, is pretty horrendous. But whatever, it's 7:11 right now, and that is the hour of my birth. So we're exactly where we need to be. I am a tarot reader. I have over 15 years of experience, and I will be doing a reading for Aquarius because I'm going to get through every single zodiac sign, okay? I'm going to do it. I'm here and I'm doing it, all right? We are in my office. There is a box behind me, as you can see. I am moving right now. And I've been using my lack of a desk as an excuse to not show up for y'all, and I'm sorry for that because that's not how I want to live. That's not who I want to be. So here we are, showing up. What we got? We got the Rider-Waite deck. I'm gonna use the Modern Witch Tarot deck. I don't know where a lot of my shit is, but I do know where my tarot decks are. So we got that going for us. So I believe that the harvest moon is upon us. And we are going to see how Aquarius is doing right now and what's going on, what do we need to look at, and what do we need to address, and what do we need to know, and what do we need to validate and take accountability for, okay? Okay. We have the Seven of Pentacles, so I'm feeling like things aren't moving quite as fast as we had hoped. We've done, like, quite a bit of sowing in this season, and we're just, like, waiting. It's like that harvest moon. We're like, okay, yeah, that would be great if I could actually harvest all of this shit that I've, like, put in so much hard work for. Yeah, and we're burnt out. This burnout, this has just been like a collective thing. It's like not knowing how to ask for help, not knowing what we need help for because we don't even have time to slow down to look at what we need help with. And then like there is some type of intervention, whether it be divine or among friends or our own initiation of an intervention where we're just like, okay, like we can't keep living like this. And something needs to change. And that's not all on you. It doesn't have to be all on you. I think like we have a lot more support and like a lot of people are going through this same thing that we don't really realize it. We kind of just get this tunnel vision. I know I've been experiencing some of that. But look, we have the sun here on the bottom coming out the other side, waving our big red flag and being like, look, I see it. I understand now how I can change and how things can change and how every day is not exactly the same. And we have Six of Pentacles as well. So there's kind of like a reverse, there's kind of like a backwards, kind of going back energy here too. I also kind of think that like you've been giving a lot of gifts, like you've been giving like maybe not specific like actual physical presents, but like your own presents and like your own gifts, and you've been giving those to the world and like applying your gifts in various situations, and they're just not being received in the ways that you really need them to be received, you know? I think that like people aren't recognizing a lot of the gifts that you're bringing. Maybe you're not getting the recognition that you need. Maybe that's why I brought in the validation piece at the beginning. Like, there's always a reason for things, you know? I mean, some things they just are. That's a reason. But in a reading, everything happens in a reading for a reason. So, we have the Eight of Cups reversed also. There's a lot of resistance here with this 8 of Cups reversed matched with this 10 of Wands reversed. There's like resistance to taking care of yourself. There's resistance to balance. Maybe in Sagittarius season, maybe we kind of get to see where we can bring in some of that balance, you know? Lately, it's kind of been feeling like there is equal parts burnout and boredom. And I think that like those two things can go kind of hand in hand. These ones kind of wanted to come out. They kind of flickered a bit, so I'm not gonna like look at them necessarily right now. It's just kind of like, hey, this might use your attention. That one did the same thing. It like jumped up but didn't jump out. So this is how we're kind of doing it right now. Again, wow. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff that is coming up for you that I'm not sure you are ready to look at, or really it might be that like it's just kind of, it feels like the universe is teasing you a little bit. So it might be that like other people, let's see, it might be that other people aren't really ready to see, and so that could be where this hesitancy is coming from, you know? It's just kind of like, well, I don't know if I'm ready or if other people are ready. Like, there's this uncertainty piece here. So, yeah, the Hierophant reversed matched with the Ace of Cups. This was the two. These were the ones that kind of flickered up, right? And again, I think that this is kind of like there is this sense of duty, of heavy-handedness. And I'm kind of getting this in two different lights, right? So this Hierophant energy, this like, no, we need to do these things the way that they've been done energy, could be a call to action to fill your cup, right? Like, we need to do it the way that you know works for you. But this Hierophant is in reverse, and you're an Aquarius, or like you have strong Aquarius placements, right? So it could be that you need to bring in some of that rebellious energy, some of that Aquarian fixed sign, like stubbornness to it, you know, in order to fill up your cup again, in order to bring in that self-care. I'm really seeing a lot of like, there's fixed sign energy with this, right? The Hierophant is related to Taurus, and I'm just kind of seeing you like really sticking to your guns about what you need to do to take care of yourself and really having stronger boundaries. And I think this is kind of what's been kind of teasing you a little bit, and like maybe why people aren't necessarily seeing what you're doing, and maybe like there's some fear around that too, because you're like, well, what if I bring balance to this, and if I draw my boundaries, and if I act in integrity to my values and what I want to do for myself and what I know that I need, I might not be showing up for these people in the ways that they need. And my dog is at my door right now. I can see him. He's like, what's going on? So yeah, I mean, I think like people are concerned for you right now a little bit, you know? I think that there actually is a lot more recognition than you realize. You're just kind of like over giving, and so there's some resentment building up there, right? Like, and we're needing to stop. We're needing to stop doing that, you know? And look at like, why are we doing that? Why is it that you feel the need to give so much of your time, of your energy, of your work, of your life force, right? When you really don't need to be doing all that. Okay, give me 1 second, because my dog is literally, he's like staring me down through the door. Okay, I would show you, but you can't really see. I don't think you would be able to see it with this video quality. All right. he just wanted to bring in some play. He just wanted me to play with him and let him outside. And I'm just kind of thinking like maybe that's what you need right now too, is a little bit of like playful energy, you know? Maybe we need to let up on this martyrdom that we have kind of held on to a little bit, or like this desire to be recognized by people. I really think that like this kind of is something that needs to be let go. And the strong boundaries to fill your cup is really about like being more playful and doing some things that you enjoy. Like maybe there are self-care rituals that you've had and like extracurricular recreational activities that you've had that you are not doing right now because you're so focused on the work that you have done that isn't building up to anything that you can see tangibly. And so you're just kind of stuck in this cycle of like, well, I need to give more, I need to put in more, when really we just actually need to give it a rest. We need to wait. We need to pause, okay? And look at where we... Literally right after I said pause, the camera stopped working. So it just stopped recording. We need to look at where we can bring in the balance, right? And I think there's also a part of you that's like scared to really go deep into this self-care routine and practice and do the boundaries and all of that, because it actually has you facing a part of your shadow, right? Where like this is stuff that you don't really want to look at. You don't want to look at your own behaviors and how they are affecting you. But in order to really fill up your cup, you need to recognize that. You need to recognize, like, who are you letting have power over you, you know? Like, who is running the show in the day-to-day? Is it your red flags? Is it your shadow self that's like running the show on the day-to-day basis, right? Like is it your inner child that is seeking validation and attention and like wanting to be saved and or save someone, when really what needs to be brought in is just like putting that behind you and understanding that it is a part of the scenery, but it is not the whole part. It just comes and goes, and it doesn't need to run the show, you know? Okay, and then we have the High Priestess upright and the Emperor in reverse. Okay. The stubbornness, right? The stubbornness, okay? I really think that there is this need, this strong need right now to dive deep into your spiritual practices and really connect with your ancestors and your own practices, your personal practices that you've done that help you tap in to your boundaries. I'm also getting like strong energetic boundaries. There are meditative practices that are helpful for this, or visualization practices, right? And I know that not all of us have a very strong ability to visualize within our own heads. So there are practices that you can incorporate within your skincare routine in the morning, right? Because your skin is a barrier. Your skin is literally a boundary. So when you nourish it, you can just kind of put that intention in, right? Like whenever you put on a certain moisturizer in the morning, like maybe that is your intention. Maybe you pray over it. Maybe you set aside, maybe you talk to it, right? Maybe you're like, hey, you are going to help me keep my energetic boundaries for the day, right? And that is your affirmation, and you're just like, okay. And then you have it on and you're like, this is my ally that is helping me keep my energetic boundaries. And then it's not all on you, you know? It doesn't have to all be on you. And there are tools that we have that make it easier. And even though it feels like maybe we're doing this on our own, we're not really, because we're asking for help from our tools, from our allies around us. We're not in this completely alone, completely separated, right? we have, and it was 333 on the clock when I said that, which is like coming together, right? That is the Trinity. That is like where two or more are gathered type shit. Okay, so there's that, and then there's the Emperor again, and it's really interesting to me that we have the Hierophant in reverse and the Emperor in reverse, right? They're like these two very active, authoritative figures that are kind of flipped upside down. And then we have the Ace of Cups paired with the Hierophant, and the High Priestess paired with the Emperor. My throat is getting all... Bleh. So, yeah. We're a little out of balance, right? And I'm just kind of feeling like the active is what's out of balance, right? What we're doing is out of balance. All of the giving and none of the receiving. And so the work here, the shadow work, the work here that you are being called to do is to learn how to receive and to learn how to say no. That is like a divine principle. That is a spiritual ability to be able to say no and to be able to have boundaries with yourself and with others, right? Like, you don't need to give so much. You don't need to work all the time. You don't need to explain yourself, especially when you've been doing all of this work, right? And it's probably emotional work that you've been doing as well. It's not just your time and energy and like workforce and life force, right? It is also emotional and spiritual labor that you are doing. And that needs to be turned inward. And we need to learn how to receive. So we're going to do a little bit of that. I think that's what we're gonna do, right? The full moon is a time for release and letting go, right? The moon is at its apex, it's at its largest, and it's about to get smaller, right? So this is a time where we are able to kind of ease into what's going on and practice our cord cutting and cut things off and like let things go. Stop taking responsibility for shit that isn't yours and really tap in and tune in to what you need, and doing that without feeling guilty, and like knowing that you are taking care of yourself, because right now you're doing a lot and you're doing too much, I want to say, in a direction that's like you've already done your work there, you've already laid your seeds there, and if you keep doing stuff, it's not helpful. I don't want to say that like it won't come to fruition, but I will say that like not as much will, and when it does, will you be able to receive it? Will you be able to receive if you haven't rested, right? Like, how do you know what to ask for if you're too tired, right? Okay, yeah, and then Knight of Wands. And then you can get going. And it'll move so fast, right? It's like we're in this gestation period. We are in this time where it's like, okay, I've done all I can. And I'm being asked to do so much more. And I'm tapped out. And I need to take a break, and I need to rest, and I need to do these things for myself, and I need to really look at like my motivations and why I'm doing these things. And then, boom, the reward will come, and it'll just be like, boom, okay, actually things are moving now. And people are seeing all of the stuff that I'm doing, and everything that I have been working toward is now happening. And I'm kind of getting that that's not really going to pop off until the spring, which is like, why is that always the way? It's probably because we actually energetically and physically move with the seasons. Like, we really do have this kind of flow about it. And the fall and the winter are times for resting, for hibernation, and for, you know, drinking in and like receiving nourishment and connecting with people. It's not really a time to be like doing. You know, I'm thinking about something that someone said to me recently where they were saying like they have so much work to do, and when they take breaks, when they go on walks, when they stop to just like chat or do something else that they need to do for themselves, they actually come back to their work and can do it a lot better and are much more prepared, and like their brain is in it and they feel more productive when they're doing it because they took those breaks, because they took care of themselves. They did what they needed to take care of themselves. And then they were able to show up and not feel resentful and not feel like half in it because they're taken care of. And that's what we need right now. Okay. And then we have the World and Page of Wands. So yeah, I mean, Aquarius, you're here. You're here in the world. You're here in the world, my dude. Right? And Page of Wands, like we're still learning right now. We're kind of, we're figuring these things out for ourselves. And that Knight of Wands is leading the way. So I'm just kind of hearing like, find your Knight of Wands. Find that person who is taking care of themselves and who is successful. Find that person who you see as successful and doing things that inspire you and like that you want to do, and like harnesses that energy that you want to harness, and like really is doing all of these things that you're trying to do, right? And see how they take care of themselves, and see what they say about self-care and what they say about their priorities and how they manage the things that they need to do in their life, and like what makes it so that they can do these things that you are inspired by. And that is a learning point for you. And we're not there yet, and we will be there, right? But right now we kind of got to close out this cycle. It's over, you know? It's like, you've done this before. You already have learned this lesson. So learn it, you know, like really, really integrate it. It's time to integrate it. It's time to stop distracting yourself with busy work and pretending like you are resting when actually you're just scrolling on your phone or watching shows or doing things that are not helpful to you. And like, you know what those things are because you can feel it while you're doing them. You know, there are things, for instance, that you do to take care of yourself that may seem like they take more energy, but actually they revitalize you, right? And the things that you're doing to rest are actually draining you. So tell me how that's working out for you. Doesn't seem like it is. Okay? I believe in you. I think you're doing a great job. And I think that you've done enough. And you don't need to prove yourself to anybody that you deserve your position where you're at. Because you're there already. You did it, you know? And sometimes that's all you can do. And that's where you're at. So, like, bare minimum in the areas that you are overexerting yourself, will then translate to equilibrium. I hope that you got something out of this message. I hope that you are able to take a rest and sit with that for a minute. And I hope that you are having a wonderful full moon and that you have plans to recharge and do things that feed your soul and nourish you. I will see you next time. If you want to book a personal reading with me, I'm available for that. So hit me up at my email address. It is thesharpestteeth@gmail.com. And yep, you're doing great. See you later.